someone in the chat was like, "Whoa, that was fast." I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
always fast. Like, kind of swaggy about it. But yeah, it's great. And that was one of the things for Mixer too. You guys have had that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Insert to Join podcast. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about Twitch and Mixer and the recent news about Mixer's acquisition of some established content creators. Jeff and I will be providing more perspective from the Twitch side, Lupo from the Mixer side, and John will sprinkle perspective all over this messy ice cream cone. Hoosier will not be joining us today due to personal reasons. Nothing bad, so don't worry. Let's do it.
Mixer has definitely been getting a lot of love lately from people switching, from people just, word of mouth. I mean, specifically one person that's been really speaking up about Mixer and the quality that they're putting into their platform. If you notice anything on Twitter, is Professor Broman. And I think I've seen a couple things from Gothalion maybe, but specifically Broman edging Twitch to kind of up their game because of some of the quality things that Mixer has been putting forward for the people on their platform. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Mixer's for everybody, as we're going to hear from Jeff talking early a little bit, for reasons why he's not going to be switching. Personally, I gotta say, I was on Twitch for 2.5 years. I've now been on Mixer for about 6 months. I'm completely happy with the change, but my situation is a little bit different from everybody else's. My initial switch was more of a business related, because with VBI and us trying to kind of get our feet wet with Mixer, I decided as a business move, so that we had somebody on staff that understood and knew about the platform, that I would make the jump. It turned out for me to be a good choice, just because of my enjoyment on the platform that I'm having, and the community that I've kind of become a part of. But there are tons of other reasons that people are either switching, considering switching, or the other hand, why they're not. So I mean, that's kind of like where we're going to be coming from, and trying to dig into and delve and just kind of figure out where the pros and cons of all of this lie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think Jeff, you mentioned that that there's particular reasons why you decided not to make a switch, or why a potential switch may not have ever actually even been on your plate. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I have been on Twitch now for 2 years. When I first started streaming, Twitch was the only streaming service that I knew of. Everything that I learned about streaming was through Twitch and how to grow on Twitch. And, after a year of a lot of long, lonely streams that we've all been through, and, unviewed content, low view YouTube videos, whatever you try to do, we get there. And not to say that I'm, putting out, thousands of numbers, but I like to think of myself as having a nice little consistent stream nowadays. And it's been a job to get there. And Jonathan was the first person that I was close with in my streaming community to be like, yeah, I'm going to go make the switch and stay there. There was a few people from another community that made the switch for about a day, and then I think they just didn't put enough time into it. So they just, abandoned back to Twitch, because, PUBG was so saturated at the time. Like literally, 300,000 people watching PUBG every day. You couldn't stream it if you wanted views unless you were big. And at first I was like, oh, Mixer's cool, but I don't know anything about Mixer. It's a Microsoft thing. I know that. So I was just like, all right, let me kind of look into it. I, made an account, yada, yada, and never really felt like it had what Twitch was already providing for me. So Jonathan made the switch, and, it's been, like he said, a great business standpoint, even for me working with him in VBI. Now I have a go-to Mixer contact. If I need to, find out about what's going on with Mixer, I can talk to Jonathan or just peep in on his conversation. So, moving forward, I'm happy with the growth that I have with Twitch, and I don't see any sort of benefits to making that switch. And then on a more personal level, for some of you that can relate, I don't like big changes like that. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm a comfort creature, and I always have been. Even through college and jobs, I like to solidify myself in a spot. I'm not, closed minded by any means, but once I'm locked in and comfortable, I can sit in front of my computer in my sweatpants and my hoodie without anybody seeing me, and lock in. So I've created that safe place for me on Twitch. And while I respect people's decisions to go from one platform to the other for whatever reasons they may have, and I've seen growing popularity and conversations on Twitter about why people are doing it, and I think that's what we're exploring tonight. Why make the switch from platform, and why shouldn't you make a switch from platform?
Definitely. So I kind of wanted to bring up, you are a Twitch affiliate, correct?
I am, yes.
So how much would you say that weighs in on just yet another reason you wouldn't make the switch?
To be quite honest with you, 90% of the reason, outside of what I just said, and I know I just said a lot about feeling comfortable,
Sure.
but I'm already making revenue from Twitch.
So
And to leave Twitch to start over and have to grind again to get to make the money where I'm making now with Twitch is kind of silly for me in my position, because
Absolutely.
here's something for you though, Jeff. Something that could possibly, maybe not for you, but for somebody else, be a deciding factor. Minimum follower requirement to be able to apply for partner is half of your current follower count on Twitch, 750. So,
I mean,
as an affiliate,
that's interesting.
you get a smaller portion. Your grind would be for half the number. Granted, you probably wouldn't get it at 750 if you did, unless you had like some god tier numbers coming into it because everybody from your channel followed through with you. But it is a lower requirement for a higher quality.
So
I'm saying the content, not the platform, just
right.
your content.
Well, that statistic I think is more applicable to people that are affiliates that it's not working. I've been very fortunate to have people around me that since I've been affiliated, I've had a consistent growth with it. Whereas there are some affiliates who still right, and that's why I'm glad it was brought up there. Lupo, what do you say about this?
No, I was just about to say the same thing, that me personally, I know at least 10 to 15 affiliates that have left Twitch to come to Mixer, and
I would be one of them.
Like Andy said, he is one of them, but it's a different thing with your level of immersion with your subscribers, because if you don't have that total package with everybody, like if you don't have a large subscriber count or anything like that, it might be something that you weigh out an option, where like you are specifically weighing that option, that it's a good business decision for you to stay. But beyond that, it's a personal thing too. Like you feel very comfortable with your community and everything like that. You don't want to leave and go do other things. But for some other people, they're worried about, a top end growth or something like that. And that's something that Mixer has built in with a lot of the different algorithms that they utilize to promote exposure for other people. So while that might not be the biggest thing for you, you're worried about your community, about how people perceive you, like integrity wise. And some of the people just want that top end growth, always want, a high follower count or a high view count at the same time. But those are definitely two different things to weigh out when people are making that decision.
I agree entirely. It kind of relates to how why I decided to make the switch. So for the longest time, I think I was resting at I think like 70 followers for like the first month, which like I wasn't. So here's the thing with me is like I don't really expect to like get a following. It's never really been the goal. The goal for me is to just like create something and enjoy it in the process, and whatever happens happens. I know that's kind of like a really generic standpoint to take, but I truly believe that and feel that through everything that I create. And so for me, it's like one of the primary reasons why I decided to make the switch in the first place was not that I had achieved the affiliate and had low numbers, right? I believe that I went from 70 followers to 112 followers over the course of like 3 weeks, but then I stagnated at like 120 followers. And so, despite that, I had like 5, 6 viewers per broadcast, but it still was like, it felt like I was hitting a wall in terms of the audience that I was reaching. And that's kind of the whole point for what I'm doing in particular, is to reach as many people as possible. Whether or not they follow me or not, I could care less. But was to like try and reach as many people as possible. And then I started weighing the options of like, okay, Twitch is incredibly saturated. I only just acquired enough good enough equipment to begin streaming right when PUBG got really big, and then suddenly I'm at the bottom of the list or somewhere very near the bottom of the list, in a market that's completely saturated. And then the idea was, well, what about Mixer, right? What's the difference in the demographics? So I started thinking a lot about that stuff, and it just made more sense to me to, despite having the affiliate status, because the numbers weren't there, right? It's to actually like consider anything regarding the affiliate status. The numbers just weren't there for me. So I just decided to weigh the options of what is my reach in Mixer versus what is my reach in Twitch. And so that's what predominantly made me decide to switch. Not only that, but I kind of want to harp on, in a good way, I want to hype up the Mixer community, because of all the things, like Mixer definitely did not make it hard for me to make that switch. There were tons of people who were like, yeah, make the switch, it'll be awesome. We'll join our Discords. We'll start talking about your streams. We'll add you to like our auto channel thing where it populates in a designated channel in the Discord. And then it was just like so many people were contributing to trying to help expose me, right? That's what was kind of like the, how you kind of need that push to just get over something, you like, I was weighing the options. I was looking at Twitch and I was just like, I don't know. I was on the fence. And then everybody was just like, you know what? Just do it. Just do it. We're going to help you get there. Just do it. And within the first month, switching to Mixer, I made it up to 720 followers. And so like my growth was literally over the course of what I was doing on Twitch for 9 months, my growth was literally, sevenfold that. And that is just kind of a testament of the two different platforms and the difference between why you, Jeff, may decide not to switch and why it was very instrumental for someone like me to switch.
Yeah, it's definitely a situational decision that has to be made. One of the things you brought up, and it is something that I've seen at a firsthand account, is the saturation problem with Twitch. Many people that I know went to Mixer because of a less saturated market, kind of a new sort of up and coming. And I think, a few months ago when I first started learning about Mixer, just the growth that it's had in that short amount of time is a testament to how good of a platform it is. And, streaming is very personal, and we make these decisions based on very personal feelings and personal intuition. So I think it can get kind of touchy when people bring it up and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, the saturation factor is definitely one of the more prominent reasons that you see a lot of the smaller streamers switching. And the opportunity for growth is there to be more apparent to the people that are on the platform, and more open to being found. So it's definitely something that a lot of people see and are very interested in, especially for people that are trying to aspire to be full-time content creators and want that extra exposure. And they have the bonus of being on a platform that is growing with them, that they can kind of be a part of. But we find that we're also getting a lot of partnered streamers from Twitch that are switching over.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think the saturation level and the exposure and reach are less of a reason.
Sure. So
So
all of this perspective, we talked about Twitch quite a bit, but I do kind of want to get your thoughts, Lupo, on I know that you mentioned earlier that you really didn't mess with Twitch too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
so
I
what's
mean,
the
like,
what's
for-
the Mixer perspective of this?
in like what particular aspect, like starting on Mixer as opposed to, you know, never really finding a foothold in Twitch in general, like in
Yeah,
that
or
particular aspect?
like maybe there's something that you can say about the dynamic of, okay, I am committing to Mixer. I'm trying to establish on Mixer despite the like the viewer ceiling that is so high on Twitch, and like do you know what I'm saying? Like what is the
Yeah,
perspective
no,
of that?
I understand what you're saying exactly. And I mean, I saw the population being an issue when I started, and it wasn't a secret then, and it's not a secret now, you know. There are drastic benefits to being on Twitch. There's a, like you said, there's a much wider audience base and a viewer base.
Right.
But I think there was a lot of things that Mixer was offering at the time. I think the biggest thing that Mixer gave to us was the sub 1 second chat delay, which is absolutely incredible. FTL protocol was the greatest thing that ever happened to streaming. And you see it now where Twitch and YouTube are implementing their own versions of the same thing. I mean, Jeff, I don't know if you have that exposure, because I know they did you know, it was like a partner beta type of thing, and then they started trickling it down. But it went from 15 to 25 seconds to sub 10 seconds now, which is very good.
Yeah, I was in the beta and it was just incredible. I didn't even know that I had gotten it, or they were even doing it. And I went into my dashboard and I saw the alert and I was like, oh, low latency. Like, isn't that just, you know, I didn't really like think about it too much. And then someone in the chat was like, whoa, that was fast. I'm like,
yeah,
definitely. I'm always fast. Like, you know, like I was swaggy about it, but yeah, it's great. And that was one of the things for Mixer too. You guys have had that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was on a show for Anthem Insider, and they do a web show on Twitch, and I was just trying to interact with some of their chat, and I was like, wow, like I can't believe the difference that this is making, you know, after being on Mixer for a year at that point. But that, I mean, that was the biggest thing that sold me on Mixer, was the like basically instant interaction with your viewer base. The fact, I think at the time, the biggest thing that drew me to Mixer was basically what it did is that if you were playing a game on Mixer, say you were playing Destiny, if someone went to look at Destiny in the marketplace, they would see then your stream. So it'd be like the top 3 to 3 to 5 most viewed channels.
Yeah, definitely.
And they'd say, okay, I want to see how good this game is. Let me click on this person playing this game. So it was instant exposure built into every single Xbox in the world.
Yeah, that's
actually
really
and we
huge.
still have that now too with the dashboard. Like the dashboard now is designated for partners and things like that. But if you are doing pretty well in a directory, and people frequent those directories, that'll show up in their like main feed there. So that was a great way for exposure. And I don't want to say that I'm lazy. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not at times, but having built-in exposure definitely helped.
Oh my God!
Entice us all to move over to the platform. More recently, you know, we saw the additions of Hype Zone PUBG, Hype Zone Fortnite, and most recently Hype Zone Rainbow Six. These are all things.
I didn't even know that was in.
Oh, it
awesome.
Just started like last week or
that's
something
really
like that.
cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think they've worked the kinks out on Rainbow Six yet, because of, you know, it's not like a set place where the game is, you know,
Right.
as opposed to like PUBG or Fortnite.
But
it's instant exposure to mass people watching these games. So I think that was another huge thing that drew me to the platform.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So I think that's quite a bit of perspective of our perspective on our experiences, but I do also want to kind of touch on kind of how Mixer has brought in talent, right?
Yeah.
So to me, and I'm just gonna really quickly throw this out there, and then I kind of want to bounce ideas back and forth between the crew. But to me, at first, I'm feeling really skeptical about the impact that this will have on streamers like Hoosier or even you and I, Lupo, where
Mhm.
it's to me it seems like you're adding more to the top end and potentially taking away from the low end. And I feel like you're putting like more of a weight at the top of the talent pool, right? And so I think the easiest way for me to explain how I think about this is that increasing saturation without thinking about the impact across the board just makes Mixer another Twitch. Not that it is that not that Mixer is Twitch now, right? But that
Yeah.
I can see that a projected path of that. And I'm just curious, like, wait, what are we thinking about? Like, is it actually just, dude, Andy, you're dumb. This is really good for Mixer, or
No,
is there
I don't
something
think
deeper there?
I don't think it's something that you can just gloss over and say, Andy, you're just smoking something. Don't worry about it.
Every
It's
day, dude.
definitely a concern that a lot of people have, but we have to see it as another means for growth.
I
Like
was going to say
we do have to
exposure.
see that.
You
Yeah,
talked about
so
exposure there, and I think if yes, it's a two-edged sword here. Yes, those
Yeah.
big fish are going to bring in their own group, and that group may be bigger than what someone else currently has. There is going to be, a little bit of a pecking order, if you will, but that also brings a lot of new people to the platform who are then
Yeah.
going to possibly tell other people, and that maybe that creates this influx of new Mixer viewers and users, and that's where the top brass was thinking along the lines of.
yeah, so one of the things that they're trying to do, and I mean, I can see this is when you look at Mixer, when you look in chat, how many of the people that are in your chat or in your Discord are also streamers, not just viewers?
Yeah.
Okay, so part of the reason to bring in some of these other people from outside is they can bring with them viewers, not just streamers.
Right.
So
I see what you're
because
saying.
the platform, it can survive if everybody's a streamer, but you can't survive without viewers.
Right. At some point, you need to try and tip the scales, right? I think that's what you're trying to say.
So yeah, it's a way to try and balance things out a little bit, because Mixer is an amazing platform for people that are streaming. It really is. I mean,
Right.
but for the platform to survive, you have to have people that are trying to support the platform, not just themselves.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think, to me, the whole point for me to say what I said was that I truly just don't know. You know what I mean? That I'm far too skeptical of how some of these things typically play out to just kind of jump into it feet first and to think that it was all done with good intentions. I think that to a certain degree, and I'm certainly not blaming Mixer for this kind of mentality, but to a certain degree, Mixer's just trying to grow itself. And I think in that
100%.
mindset is that growing ourself means growing our fan base and growing our the streamers who are utilizing our platform. And I'm just curious, like, I don't know if there's much of an impact at all that will affect small time streamers like myself, or if what about like kind of middle of the road like Hoosier, where there's like so much room right now. I'm just spitballing here, but there's so much room for Hoosier to grow right now, and I'm curious about how all this plays out and what the people were thinking when they made these decisions in the first place. Go ahead, John.
So yeah, I mean, if you look at it, okay, bringing these people over is a business decision. Okay, 100%. Okay, first and foremost, Mixer is a business. So
I think that's my critique.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't matter.
I see that,
Twitch, yeah, but Twitch is a business as well. Okay, but the difference between them is Mixer is more a business for the people, for the streamers on the platform. The partners have a larger say in how the platform progresses, where Twitch has their partners have very little decision on how the platform progresses. So as Mixer grows and are able to support the views and wants of their partners to better the platform, the more they're able to do that.
Sure, I could definitely see that.
So
I understand what you're saying.
because
it's definitely a relative thing. You know?
Mixer has always tried to support the people on their platform more, or in a way that is beneficial more to them than to the business. But there comes a point where you need to try and up the revenue cap, because you've hit a ceiling and you can't really do much unless you can get more coming in. So to do that, bring in
kind of
outside help.
Right, kind of bringing us back to the idea of exposure too. Lupo, were you going to say something earlier?
No, not particularly. I mean, I have another thing I want to touch on before we leave the subject.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to just get Jeff's perspective on how these, high profile streamers. I mean, look at guys like Active Bunny Fufu. He left Twitch to come to Mixer. I mean, most recently Renee, she left and she's coming to Mixer now. How does that? What kind of perception does that give someone on Twitch?
Okay, so
for the future?
Saturation factor here. I don't even know who those people are.
There you go.
And so and that's no disrespect to them.
It's a testament, right?
Because there are tons and tons and tons of big quote unquote Twitch streamers that I don't even know about.
20,000 or something like 20,000 partner streamers on Mixer on Twitch.
So I mean, and
that's
and
crazy.
Look at it this way, to step off track just for a second, the affiliate program, when that rolled out, that was every streamer's, hopes. Like, this is it. This is the start of making money, myself included. I remember seeing people around me getting affiliate invites, and I was like, where is mine? Like, I'm easily doing this. And then it happened and so on and so forth. But nowadays, it's automatically granted the minute you hit the stats. Right. It's not a personal invite anymore. It's just like, oh, I hit those stats, boom, I'm affiliate, and then you go from there. So I think, to come back to our main point here, in my shoes, I average 15 to 20 per stream. I've got just under 1,700 followers. I'm not impacted by the big streamers leaving, because there are streamers, the big ones, the Ninjas, the Shrouds, those kind of guys, Tim. There's a lot of people like that are just racking up so many views that it's a completely different market once you get to a certain level. If you guys kind of follow what I'm saying here.
I think I do. Yeah. It's
like I'm on the bottom tier. I'm fighting for my life at my level. And there are some people that I see who have thousands and thousands of followers, and in my streamer head, I'm like, well, wait a second, I'm putting out something better than this in terms of quality or production or interaction. But it's just the way that it is. I try not to get caught up on it, which may come back to my point about why I don't know, or I shouldn't say I didn't know who those big streamers were until I had heard about the rumblings about everybody moving and switching. So at that point, it's like, okay, who are these people? Okay, again, big streamers, but they're not big to me, because that's not the content that I get into.
I think that's a really good analysis, honestly. And I think the way that I'm interpreting it, Jeff, is that at some point it's like saturation. Like, even if the larger streamers are leaving, that market may not have ever actually been your market in the first place. Even a little bit of desaturation on that front wouldn't necessarily affect where you're at currently. So that was kind of my takeaway from that. And correct me if I'm wrong in interpreting it that way.
No, I think you're fine. Yeah. It's you think about the communities between the two. I think everyone is that I've talked to has said that Mixer is a more welcome community. More people know each other. You know, I know a lot of streamers that have come into VBI from Mixer. They all know each other. I feel like I'm at a family party that I'm not part of the family. I'm like,
100,
wait a second,
100%.
dude.
No,
They
no. It's the in-laws. It's the in-laws. So you come to the party with your wife, and it's your whole wife's family. You know.
and they all know each other. I'm just like, hey guys, I'm like, I'm here too. Yeah, what's up?
Across Mixer, it's like the platform itself is just one community, where you get into Twitch and you've got cliques and groups.
Yeah, it's very high schoolerish.
I was going to say that. I was going to compare it to high school. Damn it,
All
you
right,
stole it.
as long as nobody breaks out into song.
Right, but no, but I think that
Oh, sorry.
in a way that's a good thing. You know, I know a partnered streamer that has a very low visibility type of exposure, but within the community that he's in, he's like one of the top dogs, because
Sure.
that community is so tight knit, and it's still providing hundreds, maybe thousands of views depending on what's going on in that community. And I don't want to get into specifics here, because I don't want anyone to feel ostracized, so I'm speaking in a general manner. But that can be a good and bad thing. I think trolls are going to troll, or if you're in a streamer, you have to understand that you're on the internet. There are going to be trolls everywhere. And there may be 4 of them in this podcast right now. You never know. So
Am troll.
Yeah.
I think my main point here, to summarize, is that the niching and the clickiness of Twitch is good and bad in its own way. And Mixer, from what I have experienced, just seems to be more of a overall more welcome community. And you don't have to necessarily find those little niches and groups. You can just kind of go in, and everyone's in the lunchroom instead of hanging out in their different spots around the school.
Yeah. I would say that so that kind of, all of this relates to what I was saying earlier. Why I made the switch was almost exactly because of that. Also, it kind of like presents a low barrier of entry. So when you start thinking about demographics too, having like everybody in the lunchroom, but nobody's sitting at a table. It's just like there's chairs placed everywhere, right? And we're all enjoying the same stuff, so to speak. That was a horrible analogy, tragic metaphor. But the idea is there that like the difference really is in, especially when we're talking about communities, the difference really is in kind of like the attitude surrounding the people, right? I think that for me, that again, just to harp on this even more, is in Twitch, I felt like my own little island. And then in Mixer, I felt like part of and I'm going to butcher this, I'm part of an archipelago.
Archipelago, yeah.
There we go. Nailed it.
An extension of land that is a part of a bigger mass, but it's kind of like a peninsula. But I get, all right, we're getting out of hand here. Geography lessons 101.
We are not in school right now, Mr. Teacher.
What? Come on,
Sorry,
we were talking about high school, then we got onto the cafeteria. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
we had
leave
to
it
move
to the
into
high school teacher to
geography
bring it
class.
up.
I'll give it to you, Andy.
But yeah, that was kind of like one of the primary reasons why I made the switch in the first place, because the community was so much of a difference to me, and ultimately that's kind of what I'm shooting for, is to build community.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me, was how easy the community made it to switch.
Definitely.
How open they were to just letting you into their community, no questions asked.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing I want to ask here, because we didn't really touch on it too much. So Lupo, you've been with Mixer since the beginning of your streaming career, yes?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. So earlier you guys asked me, as the singularly Twitch streamer in his whole career, why not move to Mixer? I'm curious to know, why not move from Mixer to Twitch? Like, what's that perspective?
Like I said, I think now it's a lot of the same reasons that you said. Having a community, number one. Number two, knowing how fast things have happened on Mixer, just because of we are all growing along with the platform itself,
right?
So seeing other people's testimonials from what they've experienced with Twitch, and then along with what they've experienced with Mixer in shorter time spans, that has definitely like reinforced my own decision to stay there in the first place. But with the advent of the other streaming platforms like Facebook and YouTube, I mean, not YouTube so much, but definitely Facebook, those thoughts have definitely crossed the mind at some point or another, as saying, hey, this is another space where there's new opportunities there. But I think primarily for me, with like not going back to Twitch, like I said, not really going back, like not going back because it was never really a real thing, but
Right.
not going there because of just where I am now on Mixer, how little opportunity there is for growth at the bottom end, bottom end on Twitch. And I mean, it's bad enough on Mixer being a guy named Lupo, let alone being on Twitch
Yeah.
named Lupo. So
Definitely.
that's a whole other thing too.
All right, so I think that kind of sums up everything that we wanted to say about the topic in general. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we close out of the subject as a whole?
Yeah, I'll shoot first. I think one of the biggest things I wanted to touch on here is it shouldn't be about a competition. If people think that there is another opportunity, or that their style of creation will work better in a different place, then they should definitely go for it. But the biggest benefit to having all of these different platform options right now is the fact that they are all going to do something new to make everyone else rethink what they're doing right now and make it better as well. So I don't think that, we should all think that this is better than that or this is better than that. Every platform does something really well, and some platforms do things that we should probably learn from, we as in Mixer or other platforms, so that's my biggest thing with everything right now. So
Well said. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that too.
And on the same kind of lines there, I mean, this is in no way meant to, degrade Twitch as
not at all.
Yeah, there's no divide here.
So, I mean, because I have family on Twitch, and I have family on Mixer, and I will never, abandon my Twitch peeps just because I've come over to Mixer. I mean, it's a personal preference on why I switched, or why this person went from Mixer to Twitch. I mean, it's all a matter of what works best for you. So I mean, you just figure out what your reasons are and just go for it. Make your stand, dig your feet in wherever you're going to go, and make it your home, but don't limit yourself.
I can also speak to that, John, because I actually got started or introduced to streaming in general back when Twitch was JTV. So
Justin TV.
Yeah, I've been around
I remember that.
the block.
I
Here
that.
I am 7.5 years later, switching to Mixer. It's not like there's a divide, right? It's that I spend just as much time on Twitch as I do Mixer. You know what I mean? Or and vice versa. It's more or less, to come back to what Lupo was saying, that seriously, it's really not a competition. There's no malice. What it is content creators finding the right tools with which to create, immersing themselves into their creations, generating community. Literally, that's what both platforms do. This is just Twitch and Mixer that we're highlighting here, but there are other streaming platforms as well, YouTube being one of them. People build communities, people create, and that ultimately is the most important thing to all of this.
Agreed.
Awesome. Any final thoughts before we close this one out, boys?
Yep. Screw all of you. I'm going to Facebook.
Are you going to I saw this tangential. I saw this really funny video. Are you going to be smoking meats? Please tell me somebody in here has seen that video.
No, that one's going.
All right, we're gonna leave. Google it. We're gonna leave that one. That's gonna. I'm gonna call it there. Does anybody have anything else to say?
Nope.
Boom! Thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode as much as we enjoyed making it. You can find the Insert to Join Twitter at Insert to Join. You can always add us or hashtag AskITJ if you have any questions about anything or want to discuss the content with us. As we are able to, we are also uploading our episodes to YouTube. So if you're more of a YouTuber, we're doing our best to spread our content to your native platform.
Hey guys, you can find me Inspector_Jeff on twitch.tv, and you guys can also follow me on Twitter at Inspector_Jeff.
You can also find me on Twitter at InfectedGround0. I'm too poor to buy any vowels, so it's only the I at the front and end.
I love it.
And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Mixer at Lupo to the rescue, being the number 2.
And I am Andy the Narrator. You can find me at Andy the Narrator anywhere. And last but absolutely not least, Who's Your Boy? You can find Who's Your Boy at Who's Your Boy Mixer on Twitter and at Who's Your Boy on Mixer itself. Always gotta plug the man.